Hey everyone. Okay, so was it Saturday? Yes, Saturday. I got my mystery box. Rachel is the name of it. And oh my gosh, y'all. Okay, disclaimer, there could be spoilers in this video. So if you do not want to know answers or anything like that, stop watching. Let me just say before you stop watching, don't stop watching yet, but I highly recommend this company. I'm not being sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form. I just love mysteries and I love this company. I love the details that they put into the mysteries that they do every month. This is my third box and I've not been disappointed at all yet. I don't anticipate being disappointed. So if you love mysteries and love logical thinking, I highly, highly recommend this company. The subscriptions are a little expensive. It's like, I think it ends up being like $35 a month because you have to pay for shipping. But in my opinion, it's great entertainment and it's worth it. So I've budgeted in and I've got it where I can get this every month. So I love this company. So highly recommend it if you like mysteries. Okay, now on to this box. So like I said, if you don't want answers, hints, or whatever, I suggest that you do not continue to watch this video, which will make me sad, but I understand because I wouldn't want answers either. So, all right, so this month's box is about this doll named Coraline, right? That seems to be haunted. And if you go to this estate, Lancaster estate, it will throw stuff at you and it's just, you know, an awful, awful thing. All right, so when you open up the box, you get, of course, like in all boxes, you get your puzzles, you get a letter from whomever, like this month it was from Marta Perez. She's a journalist and she needs your help. So there's always a letter explaining what the mystery is and what you're to do with the information that's in the box. Okay. And then as always, they always give you extra little doodads. Like in the Raven, we got Mardi Gras beads, some soil, different things like that. This month we have a cross. We have rosary beads, prayer beads, rosary beads, and some brimstone. So just by these items alone, I knew this was going to have do something with probably possession. I was thinking, because what else would you need? This, ooh, even Roxy didn't like that idea. So yeah, so I'm like, ooh. So then you get all your information. You get your puzzles. You get this envelope with pictures inside. And I've not really studied these pictures. I just glanced at them because this kind of stuff really freaks me out. I don't like possession type stuff at all. I don't like it. Not that I believe in possession. I don't necessarily believe in that. I believe people can be evil, but I don't believe that they get a demon in them. But I just don't like the way that people look when they're possessed like that. It's always freaked me out. Like The Exorcist has always been, will always be the scariest movie to me. I didn't like the way that her face ended up looking and all that kind of stuff. It really freaks me out. So I don't like it. But you get, as usual, you get, like I said, you get all your puzzle pieces. Like they give you your puzzles that you need to do. And then they give you your clues. Like this is an old newspaper talking about when Rachel actually got burned. She got burned. It was very sad that she got burned. You have pictures and you have old clues that you find. Right? So you get all of these things in a box, and then you also get a current newspaper. And so always what I do, the very first thing that I do when I do this is I end up reading. Well, first I read the letter because I got to know what I'm going to do, what I'm doing. So I knew I was helping this reporter out with an investigation. So I read the letter, and then I read the newspaper, because there's always something in it about what's going on in the mystery. So as you can see here, it's about the 100-year-old doll named Coraline. So there's an article about that. And then there's different articles and I think next month, to kind of sidetrack, is I think we're going to do something about the Mad Hatter. So, because there was a lot of clues in this newsletter or this newspaper this month about like Alice in the Looking Glass and stuff like that. So I think next month is the Mad Hatter. So I'm excited about that. But they give you an outline of the Bedlam Asylum that poor Rachel would be put into and all this kind of stuff. So, and then there's a whole article about it. So I read the paper first, right? And then I read the notes from Marta Perez. And this is what you use to kind of go along with how you're going to solve the mystery, right? So it tells you about something that's from the church, the Catholic Church. And so I'm like, okay, well, that must be this letter from the priest, because there was a letter from a priest. This was it. And I'm like, okay, well, that goes with that. There's a letter to a father telling them that it's okay to start an exorcism. And I was like, what? Oh, no. Like, there's going to be an exorcism. I just know it. And then it went on to talk about the entrance to Bedlam Asylum. So we're going into Bedlam Asylum. And I was like, okay. So with the entrance, the lady found this piece of paper in a typewriter. Now, I will say, this piece of paper in the typewriter was there was only two things that stumped me that I had to go to the website and get a hint on, and this was one of them. It was on the tip of my brain, and I always get I'm like, I know what this is. But it wasn't the alphabet, because as you can see, there's letters, like there's a 37. There's more than, there's only 26 letters in the alphabet. So I'm like, okay, this cannot be the alphabet. But KJV, I was like, man, I know that. There's something about that I know. There's something about that I know, right? So when I went to go get the hints, after I did everything else, I always do everything that I can do, and then I go back and try to solve it, and if I can't, then I go to the hints. So I went to the hints, and they're like, look at what she brought into the asylum. And I was like, oh, okay. So there's a list here of all the things that Rachel brought into the asylum, right? So there's all this stuff. And down here, a worn copy of the book of Matthew. And I was like, KJV, KJV, King James Version. I knew that. So I went online and went to the book of Matthew in the King James Version of the Bible. And sure enough, each one of these was a chapter, verse, and then the word. So like the very first one was 7:27:02. So I went to Matthew book 7, chapter or verse 27, the second word, and wrote that down. So yeah. So that's what you have to do on this to get a whole long paragraph of what was going on. So you read that and you're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, that is some wicked stuff. Wicked. All right. So then, and again, I did that at the end, but I'd already pieced everything together. So that was just like the icing on the cake, so to speak. Then you go into the basement. And in the basement, I found, let's see. Oh, yeah. I found this in the basement. And I was like, oh. And I could see that this block was, marked out, and so was the E. And then there's some letters that are darker. And I was like, I'm like, well, this is not like a regular word search, I do not believe. Even though I started crossing out words that I was coming to. Because usually, you know, we have the word search at the end that you circle, and then what's ever left out is spells out what you need to know, right? And I was like, this is not doing that for me. And then I was like, oh, but if you kind of like move across, you can see what it's spelling out. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. So this explains why she was put in the asylum, which is very sad. This whole thing was kind of a little sad to me. This whole box was. Okay. And then after we get that, and again, that one stumped me just a little bit, so I had to wait till the end to figure that one out. Then we went to the children's ward. And in the children's ward, now this was the second thing that stumped me. I'm like, what in the world? You know, that's just crosses and O's. So I had to get a hint, and then it said, replace the cross and the O's with dashes and dots. And I was like, Morse code. So I had to go look up Morse code to get the answer to this. So I got the answer to that one. And again, that was near the end. And then in the records room, there was just a picture of her with in a white gown holding the bunny, which, oh, no, that's not the picture. I don't know where that picture went, but yeah, there was just that. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she went to Cecil's Cafe. I always love it when she goes there. And it explains something that had happened with Coraline later on in the years. And you're like, whoa. And then she went to the cemetery. And with that, she found that there was the graves of the Lancasters. And then something funky that she found in there was this unmarked envelope with those creepy pictures. So I was like, ah. Then she went to the manor, and there she found this guy gave her this little daughter. Well, let's see. Let me try to find it. There it is. It was, of course, put together, but I had to cut out part of it. And I knew immediately it looked like this when I got it. And I knew immediately what that was to do. Because this is what Rachel and her sister used to do secret codes. I was like, I know what to do with that. You line up the letters to the other letters and you can use it as the code. It's a code decryptor. I knew that like that. So I got that. And then in the study, she found, let's see. She found this picture here with the code, and I was like, okay, I used the code decryptor for that, which I did, easy peasy. So I was like, oh, okay, that's sad. I'm like, this is sad. This was really sad. Then she went on to the study, and in the she found that in the study, and then she went to the museum. And she found the brimstone under the desk there. No matter how much they clean, they find brimstones. And then she went to the parlor, and that's where she found this kind of stuff. That's like a drug that keeps people sleepy. And I thought, though, that this was for the mother. Like, the mother couldn't deal with Rachel, so she was doing herself, keeping herself medicated. And then there was a Western Union telling them to come, that Rachel's getting worse. And I'm like, what? And then there was a picture of the mother. I was like, yeah, okay. And then there was, I don't remember where she found this, but there was a postcard to her aunt from Rachel telling her to come get her, that she was sad. And I was like, this is so sad. And then they found, then she found this in the library. And again, this was for the decryptor, the decoder rather. I was like, yeah, okay. And then it was in Latin. And I was like, what? At first, I thought I was doing it wrong. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. And then the more I read it, I'm like, okay, that's Latin. So I had to look that up online to figure out what that was saying. And I was like, okay, this is just sad, 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 sad. And then she found a diary piece in Mary's room, which is Rachel's sister. and I had to decode that, and I actually copied it on another piece of paper to make it easier for me to figure out the letters. So I figured that out, and that was not with the decoder. That was something totally, this was totally a cryptogram that I had to figure out. But I ended up figuring it out, so I was like, yeah. So in the end, let's see, and then what else happened? Yeah, and then they, had a story about a guy that saw the fire that happened when Rachel actually died, and you're like, okay, well, what? The dad knew where to go? Something sketchy is going on here. So after you get it all together, I kind of pieced it all together through all my sleuthing, and it was really a pretty sad story, actually. And I'm not going to give it away for those that want to do the puzzle, do the mystery, because it really was, well, I guess I can't. Okay, so if you want to know the solution, please, really seriously, you need to stop watching or pause or whatever. But what had happened was Rachel was always in and out of Bedlam Asylum because she was always kind of like mean and hateful and stuff like that. The mother was ashamed of her, and that's why they put her in there. Rachel said that was one of the clues. I was like, oh, so sad. So apparently the solution of the problem is, so you go, at the end, you go to the solution parts of the files in the Facebook group discussion, and it tells you exactly what happened. And I think a lot of people get upset with it because it's like, well, I didn't get that. How did he come up with that? But it's kind of, in my head, I finally realized right as I was going to sleep, I was like, I kind of realized what this is. It's like an Agatha Christie novel, right? Sometimes Agatha Christie, her solutions, you're like, wait a minute. That wasn't even in the what? How'd you get to that? I don't understand. But it's the creativity of the writer, right? It's his world. So it's kind of sort of like that. So don't get so upset if you don't get it 100%. If you're in the ballpark, if the major thing that you got right is right, then don't be upset with the little nuances. Like I said, I was like, once I got everything done, I was like, okay, there was an exorcism. They killed her during the exorcism, and they killed her, and then they burned her body in the barn to cover up the fact that they killed her. But like I said, I thought the mother was the one who was on the drug to deal with her, but when you read the solution, the mother was actually keeping Rachel drugged because of her outburst and everything. So they think that instead of her being insane, and another thing, the last time she was at the asylum, she killed someone, which was nowhere. That's the part I'm talking about. I was like, okay, I never did even make the connection between Rachel killing this one girl they reported it in the newspaper that the girl died, but it seemed like it was a suicide. So I'm like, okay, I didn't get the correlation between that, but that's okay. Marta is filling in the stuff that you didn't figure out. And it says that in one of the sentences. It was like, Marta is filling you in with what you didn't find out. So this is part of the thing that she found out, that, that Rachel killed this girl. So she was sent home, and then the father, is an affluent person. So then he calls in a priest to get her exercise, to do an exorcism on them. While they were doing the exorcism, Rachel lashed out and she tried to kill her mother. And so the father had to shoot her. So that's where she got murdered. And then they burned the body in the barn. So all this is very sad, very sad. And then she ended up, after that, because she was in the middle of the exorcism when they killed her, Rachel's body could not leave, so she went into the doll. And then that's why the doll would lash out, because Rachel was wanting people to know, look, I was murdered, people. I was murdered. So for 100 years, she's stuck in this doll, not able to move on, because she wanted people to know that she was done dirty and was murdered. So once all of this is done, because they're doing it in the room where Coraline is at, then Coraline, Rachel's body ends up leaving, and then now, she's there to meet her sister on the other side. So at least that was a sweet ending. But man, this one really got me. I was like, oh, this is so sad. I'm like, she's stuck. She wants to leave, but she can't leave because she wants people to know what's happening. And like I said, I don't like the possession type thing at all. I'm not crazy about that. So, but it was good nonetheless, though. I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, I've never, ever been disappointed in a box. And, you know, this is my third box, and I'm really enjoying it. They actually have a Bedlam Asylum box, but it's a little expensive. It's one of the premium ones, and I wish I could afford to get it, but I just can't. I can't afford it, but I think it's going to end up being so good. But it is what it is. I love this box, so give them a chance if you really, really love mysteries. I highly, highly, highly recommend them. So yeah, so give them a chance and go ahead and subscribe to them. I've never been, actually, I got my box. I didn't even know I was getting it. I was very surprised that I got it when I did. So I was pleasantly surprised. So yeah. All right, y'all. Well, I hope that this did not disappoint. I mean, that you didn't get too many. I mean, you did get the spoiler at the end. I told you what happened, but I hope you clicked off if you didn't want to know. And if you didn't, I'm sorry. But anyway, so give it a try. The Mysteries Experiences Company. I will link the website where you can subscribe down below if you're interested. And again, I'm not being sponsored, but I really do like this company. I think they do. I mean, they do a detailed job. I mean, I just love it. If you love mysteries, if you're not crazy about mysteries, this is not going to be for you. But anyway, all right, y'all. Well, thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it. And if you've not subscribed, hit that subscribe button below. And if you have, thanks so much. All right, y'all. Be good to one another, and I will talk to you later. Bye.